Oh, Lewis. What happened, man?
It's Father's Day.
I guess so it is. It is, right? Happy Father's Day, dude.
Thank you.
Some time with your father then?
Hell no.
And what the then why would you make a comment like it was Father's Day? Like, yeah, it's
I
Father's
mean, like I spent time with my stepfather
Day.
and my
I never
uncle.
I never knew you had a stepfather.
Yeah, my mom remarried.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nice guy.
Oh, good, man. Good. When? Just off topic, just when?
13 years ago.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty cool. So welcome everybody. First episode of Loki, dissecting Loki. Me and Lewis. We're gonna be replacing our usual we got issues every week for
For
Loki
actual content.
for actual content. Yeah. There's a reason why. So Loki premiered about 2 weeks ago, and it was amazing. It was good. And Lewis texts me and he goes, dude, Loki is so good. I'm like, yeah, it was good, but like not to the point they're like, oh my god, so good. And then episode 2 came out this week.
And then I agreed with you. It wasn't that good.
And then everything changed. So I told Lewis, I was because I'm on the West Coast, Lewis is on the East Coast. So basically when Loki comes out at 12 a.m., I watch it right away. I stay up like a long time.
I don't
Well,
stay. I don't stay
I
awake until 3 in the morning. No,
I stay up until like 12 and whatnot to watch
which is
Loki.
kind of bullcrap because
Uh-huh.
wherever in the world it starts the new day,
Yeah.
Amazon Prime starts it then.
What do you mean?
So when it's actually 12 in your time zone,
Okay.
you get the new episode on Amazon Prime in your relative like time zone.
In my own world. In my world.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I saw Loki. And it was amazing. The episode 2 was amazing, but like halfway through episode 2, I realized something and I wanted to text Lewis, and it was like 3 a.m. East Coast time. And I was gonna
Which I would have just responded, I'm quitting the podcast.
So I was gonna text him. I'm like, dude, I figured it out. I figured out what Loki is. So at this point, I was talking to Lewis about it the following day, and I told him like, dude, I figured out Loki, and I'm about 95% sure. Halfway through, I was 95%, no, 98% sure. I know how this is gonna turn out. Essentially, they have their own tenants going on. So if you guys haven't seen Tenet yet, I love Tenet. Tenet's like one of my top favorite movies of all time. Confusing for some people, but you just gotta do the work to like reading to actually figure out what's going on, right? They're doing their own version of Tenet, right? So essentially, the Loki that just the the short abbreviation of it, the Loki that they're trying to find is basically the Loki that is actually being presented to you right now, right? All these events is happening from the other Loki killing all the other TVA agents is because based on the Loki right now that you see, based on what he's figuring out, right? And Lewis is like, yeah, sure, man. I'm like, I get it, right? But then at the end of Loki, that's when my 98% sure of what they're trying to do became a 50-50. Because episode 2, I don't have to tell you there's going to be a spoiler, okay? This review and analysis is going to be full of spoiler. At the end of episode 2, a new character comes in, and who the actual person that they're chasing. Lewis, do you know who the actual character that they're chasing?
The Enchantress.
Enchantress, thank you. So if you
Yeah,
guys
dude, I do you understand? We're on the same the moment that he says, "Oh, charm magic, that's cute." That's not Loki. That's the Enchantress.
Yeah, so essentially, okay, so
Yeah,
essentially
did you really not think I would not figure it out? It's like you're asking me like Marvel 101. It's like who
so
the hell would not only because
uh-huh.
if there were female versions of
Right.
Loki, in the
Yeah.
variants, we would have seen at least
Yeah.
one female version. No, they were all male.
Yeah.
Your first for the first and biggest hint was charm magic. The only person in the god pantheon of Marvel
Right.
that's
Right.
been any good at charm magic
Yeah.
to that extreme level that you
Yeah.
saw, like just taking over anybody's body, is the Enchantress.
So essentially, this is what happened. As you can see here, the first appearance of Lady Loki went up like crazy. Okay, first off, that's not Lady Loki. Yes, I can see why you would think it's Lady Loki. I understand. I get it, right? But it's not. She's referred to as Lady Loki. How about that? I'll meet you halfway. Okay, MCU fans, I will meet you halfway and say the Enchantress is known as Lady Loki. I'll meet you halfway. Okay, but the truth of it all is that this is not Lady Loki. It's It's Enchantress. Okay,
And
but
that should not be her first appearance.
yeah, but for some reason, as you can see in here, this is when speculations happen and speculators, and this is what I hate about speculators. You guys don't know what you guys are talking about because you're trying to just flip books as fast and quick as possible to people who have no idea what's going on.
Which is kind of funny because, like, the color scheme, they made her blonde.
I have no hate on you, okay? I have no hate on you. You guys got to do your hustle. This is your hustle, right? I'm fine with that, right? But if this is going to be your hustle, at least try to get it right, okay? This is not Lady Loki. This is Enchantress, okay? Which is funny enough, when at the end of the show, it's when I figured out it was Enchantress, because I didn't figure it out it was Enchantress, and all of the clues was there, right? When they met that guy in the grocery store and is doing like looking for like fucking plants, and they're like in the middle of the hurricane, he's like, it's on sale, right? And then it touched the B-15, which is one of the TVA agents, and Loki goes, oh, enchantment, like the
charm
power.
magic. That's adorable.
Yeah, he's like enchantments. That's adorable. Kind of weak.
He never said
still,
he never said enchantments. He said charm magic.
Yeah. So and he goes, okay. And then the color is green as well. So it should have hit me, but then it didn't hit me at all. I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. And then
I mean, because when she first used it, I couldn't.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. Like it was very subtle. Yeah. Because that was the first clue. But the reason why I never questioned it the first time she did it is because Loki did something similar to that aspect in the first Thor movie.
Yeah, but it's true, but the flow is also different. It's just that it was very different, and
I just thought it was like that variant of Loki was just better at that. Also,
yeah, it just didn't hit me right away that it was Enchantress, right? And then
the moment that they pretty much spoiled the characters, like charm magic, that's cute.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, that
would have been it, right? That would have been it,
smart.
Right?
If people that don't know comic books are gonna be still confused,
yeah.
And so if it doesn't end up being Enchantress, I'm gonna be so mad.
It has to be. It has to be Enchantress. Okay, I mean, like it's basically it's a given. Now, the other hint was, don't get me wrong, for like a second, I thought it was Lady Loki as well, because when she was finally when she was finally revealed, and you're like, oh, she got the horns, she got the broken horns and whatnot, and I was like, oh, it's Loki, but female version. Oh, wait a minute, she's blonde. I'm like, I mean,
the only thing she shares with female Loki is the helmet. Even the clothes that she wears, the color schemes, everything is like, no, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. And then that was it. So,
but the moment that he said, like I said, going back to the whole comment on him saying charm magic, immediately I thought, oh, that's Enchantress.
Yeah.
And there was no, and then when I saw that blonde hair, I was like, confirmed.
Yeah. So it was very it was one of those things where it was like it was a very nice reveal. It was enchantress and whatnot. But as soon as I take a look at eBay, the first appearance of Lady Loki just blew up for no reason. I'm like, why is this blowing up? This makes no sense, right?
Because people are it's reaction versus knowing.
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially, speculators. That's essentially what it is, right? But let's go to since this is an episode 1 and 2 review, let's go to episode 1 first. First, everybody have seen the very beginning of Loki, right, with the desert, right? You saw that, right?
Yeah, the Hobbit Desert.
Yeah. So essentially, a lot of people
Which is
are
fun because that's also an intro to another movie publisher. They use the same
yeah.
like scenoscope
Yeah.
that they use for
So
that.
the funny thing is that there is so much more comic book elements in this show than just I would say just MCU stuff, right? So when MCU fans tend to notice things that always coordinate from like the very first Marvel movies. So for example, the very beginning of Loki was actually from Iron Man, right? So people are just like, "Oh my god, man, they write it so well." It's like they're throwing it back in there. Well, in the comic book world, that's called a homage, right? It's called a homage. It's almost exact identical images, but it's not. It's called a homage, right? Um,
Homage.
yeah, a homage. And then when they said that he was called a variant, now a lot of people are wondering why it's called a variant. Well, I mean, like it makes sense by definition. A variant will be another being, another person, but the word variant was actually a throwback, not just a throw, a homage to basically what's been going on to the comic book community, which is variant covers. So, for example, I make variant covers for Comic Score promotions and whatnot. It's basically the exact same issue but different cover. That's basically a variant cover. Now, the funny thing about that too, as well, is that no one's batting an eye. Is that Loki's hair is different from the Avengers hair that he had. Hence, he is also a variant of that Loki, right?
Well,
So
that's the whole point.
that's the whole point, but not a lot of people batting an eye on those, right? They're always
Yes, he
trying.
has receding hairline.
Yeah, he's always like people are always trying to look for that little bits and pieces, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got this, I got that, I got that." But there's more of like a comic book reference in there than anything else, right? For example, the sacred timeline and all that. The sacred timeline is basically a reference to every single comic book storyline there is, right? Um, Timelines are basically used by comic book writers and illustrators to actually depict any storyline, right? So when they say that you are diverting from the sacred timeline, that means basically just the storyline, right? So there's a lot more comic book reference in here. Now, let's talk about before we move forwards and analyze and review episode 1. Um, have you heard of the Loki theory, Lewis?
No.
Okay, so the Loki theory is the most confusing thing ever. It's the most confusing thing ever, but you know how when people have something in mind, they try to look for evidence that support their conclusion, that the conclusion they already have. Does that make sense?
Okay.
It's not really research, right? So for example, I mean, like the only thing I can think of is um anti-vaxxers and all that stuff. They don't want to take the vaccine, so they try to do their quote unquote research. But the
And
research
all
that
they
they're look
do is go on Facebook and look at memes
but what they're doing is that basically they're finding research, quote
that
unquote
supports
research
them versus
that
contradicts them.
that supports that their conclusion versus getting all the evidence first and then leading you to your answer. That's the exact same thing with MCU fans. They already have a conclusion in mind and then they're trying to find evidence to support it, right? So
Hmm.
the Loki theory is that Loki in the TVA actually lives and located in the quantum realm. Now, here are the evidence that they look for. So now that's the conclusion, right? Now that is the conclusion that they've ended up with. Now, here are the evidence that they're looking for. In Ant-Man and the Wasp, there is a scene there where you can see a city. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, so they're speculating that the magical, unattainable, atomic level tiny city is
So this is
where
what you do.
the time.
So this is what you would do, Lewis. So you go on your computer and then try to look this up, and then we'll share it on the screen so people can see it. Okay. So
What do you
go
mean?
to no, you can share the image that I'm going to be describing to you. Okay. So go
Okay.
to Google.
Uh-huh.
And then Google
I'm always on Google.
Ant-Man and then Google Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Realm City, and you'll see that in a very far away shot, there is a small city in the quantum realm, and people are basically saying that is the TVA. The TVA actually lives in the quantum realm. Now, what evidence would support that the TVA works in the quantum that lives in the quantum realm? Well, Morbius, which is played by what was it, Luke Wilson? No, not Luke Wilson. I forgot his name. One of the Wilson brothers. So basically, that city right there. You see that city right there? Take a very close up on that.
Yeah,
You can see. Yeah.
like you want me to
So
make it even closer?
yeah. Just pinched in it. So essentially, that right there, people believe that that's the TVA, right? And what supports it is that Owen Wilson. That's it, not Luke Wilson. Owen Wilson basically had a quote in episode 1, and he said that time moves differently in the TVA, right? Time moves differently in the TVA. That's evidence 1. Evidence 2 is basically when Scott Lang was revived from Endgame when he got out of the quantum. He said that it's only been about 5 years, right? That's what he said. It's only been about 5. It's been 5 years, but for you guys, it's only been 5. It's for you guys, it's been 5 years. For me, it's only been 5 months, right? That's what he said. And he goes, well, because time moves differently in the quantum realm. That's evidence 2. So they put 2 and 2 together, and then they're like, oh, small city, time moves differently. Both people said it. TVA should be there, but there should be more evidence. So the evidence is that we know for a fact the main character, the main head, I should say, of the TVA. What's her name? Her name is Renslayer, right?
Yeah.
Renslayer. So if you guys know Renslayer, so go on Google, Lewis.
Oh, goddamn, dude.
Type in Renslayer.
Why am I the Googler?
You're the Googler. So
I mean, for my own benefit, not for yours.
So Renslayer basically is one of the characters in the Marvel universe. She is actually the person who is very much in love with Kang the Conqueror. She is like the Thanos, and then Kang the Conqueror is like death. She's in love with Kang the Conqueror. They had a thing.
It's actually the opposite.
No.
The Conqueror only bothered to go back in time and make his reign earlier, just for the whole fact that she was sick, and he needed a cryo freezer.
So,
and then the only way to get the cure on time is if its kingdom started earlier, so you had more time for research.
So he was using her, right? But she's in love with Kang the Conqueror, right? So now this woman here, Renslayer, since she is in love with Kang the Conqueror, they've also confirmed that Kang the Conqueror will be in the Quantumania. I think it was Quantumania for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
For it,
right? So he's going to appear in Quantumania. Now, Ant-Man and the Wasp doesn't even start filming. Pre-production does not even start until next year, right? It doesn't even start till next year, and then the movie doesn't come out
Also,
till December.
if you
So
remember how help me out here. I forgot the Conqueror's name.
King the
King.
Conqueror, King the
Yeah.
Conqueror.
How are they supposed to beat him now?
Yeah. So essentially,
You need.
this is what's happening, right? So basically, people put two and two together. It was like, oh well, they announced the actor that's going to be playing Kang the Conqueror for a movie that hasn't even started filming yet. Marvel and Disney has never done that until that person is set to appear. So again, two and two together, they're announcing it because Kang the Conqueror will be appearing in Loki at some point in time. Right? At some point in time, he will appear. And since he's going to be the main villain in Quantumania, they're like, hey, there's our evidence. All evidence points to the TVA living in the quantum realm. Now, in your opinion, Lewis, do you think that's true?
I like my theory better. It's just the Incredible Hulk's possible only movie that might actually work is the microverse, where it's kind of like they shrunk at some point. Somebody shrunk I think it was the leader, shrunk the Hulk so tiny to the atomic level that he went into another. He found another city living in there, and they were all green. It was like a full acceptance story of like just coexisting with people that actually accepted him.
Right,
Kind of like right before Planet Breaker Hulk. And it was
So,
really, really nice.
what I'm saying is that, do you believe on that Loki theory? Like, do you believe that holds merit at
I
all?
mean, if I was a writer, I couldn't be more happier that people are just making up assumptions of things that like I probably never gave it a second thought of.
I mean, like, I'll tell you this much, okay? Disney has gone to record saying that for the most part, you guys don't know what you're talking about. But there are some that are saying that.
That's just a business covering up for like their loopholes that they kind of were like, oh, don't you think it was a mistake that they showed that image of that city? Is like, no.
Yeah.
If they showed it to you, they was possibly like it was supposed to be another movie.
I will tell you this,
and they never went through with it.
I will tell you this too as well. Okay, for the most part, studios do listen to fans and fans' theory, and they do sometimes change things up to fit your theory because it sounds so good.
It sounds so much better than their original plan.
Why
why make Hulk the microverse story when that could be TVA?
Yeah, so it sounds good. So basically, they'll change it up for you.
You got it. You solved the riddle, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Good job, right?
Okay, now take that idea and make it into a storyboard, you assholes.
We're
paying you.
Just like every other Hollywood movies, they also change up, scripts in the middle of production, kind of like what they did with Thor, Ragnarok. No. Not Thor.
They did to Han Solo. And the Flash.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok. They changed some lines in there where when he sees the Hulk, he was supposed to say something else, but then there was that kid who visited for sick kids and whatnot, and they took the line from I know him from work kind of thing. So they've known to actually do all those kind of stuff, right?
I mean, the I know him from work was a great line.
Yeah, so it was a great line, but it wasn't the original line that was suggested by kids.
Man, I really want to see the original line and really like compare it.
Yeah, no, it's nowhere near as amazing,
as glorious.
As glorious as that. So, another thing that in episode 1 was when Morbius was showing Loki his life from the previous timeline, right?
Well, his set timeline.
Yeah, his set timeline, I should say. His set timeline. And they're saying that MCU fans are saying that essentially at the very end, when Thanos kills him, he still sees Thor hugging him, and then it says end of file, right? And they're saying the reason why it's saying that he can still see it is because that is the last memory that Loki remembers is Thor hugging him when he dies. That's not true. That's also not true. That is also crap because Morbius is not showing Loki his life from that timeline, from his viewpoint, from his vantage point. That's not what's happening. He's showing him the timeline of that Loki at that particular timeline from a third person perspective from their files, not from first person vantage points. So again, the way MCU fans thought process is that they always try to dig. They always try to dig, which is fine. You can dig all you want, right? But the truth of the matter is sometimes you dig too far and you just try to like dig as far as you can just to make sense of what your conclusion is, right? As of right now, Loki has one of the best soundtracks out there in terms of like anything. Like the end soundtrack for Loki episode 2 is amazing.
It's what Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones wish their soundtrack sounds like.
Oh my god, right? So
no arguments with the Daredevil one. That one was a masterpiece.
That one's still good too as well. But episode 1 took off a little bit of it was a little bit slower, but just because they're trying to develop the character and all that stuff.
I mean, they're trying to set up what your expectations should be for this particular Loki, so that you don't get it confused with the Loki you really don't know on a personal level. This one you're meeting on a personal level.
The funny thing is too as well is that when people found out that Loki was DB Cooper, stories about
DB I loved it. That was so clever.
The story of DB Cooper also went up online on eBay. It's like, why? It's like it doesn't make any sense.
For that perspective, you kind of have to say like it doesn't need to make sense. It's just people that like, oh, look at that, a historical event that was just supposed to be like almost the coolest bank robbery, like legitimately the most awesome robbery ever.
Yeah.
Just think of it. He hijacked a plane.
Yeah.
He got his pay and then he jumped off the plane.
So here's the thing about the DB
Cooper. Amazing.
So here's the story about DB Cooper's story. I knew he was DB Cooper based on the trailer, the teaser trailer, because it's not that because I was interested in the case of DB
I didn't
Cooper.
look at any trailer at all.
Yeah. So the reason why I knew he was DB Cooper from the teaser trailers that they shown is because I watched BuzzFeed Unsolved, and they did a Unsolved on DB Cooper about a year ago. And so when I saw Loki on the trailer with some sunglasses in the plane, and then you see him like someone jump off a plane, I was like, dude, he's DB Cooper. That's amazing, right? Like it makes so much sense because the case of DB Cooper, he robbed the plane, hijacked the plane, got his money, jumped off the plane. There's nobody, disappeared. No one knows what happened. It's still an unsolved case till this day. Well,
didn't they also not find the parachute?
Yeah, no parachute, no nothing. But then again, we already know what happened. He's actually Loki, because he lost a bet to Thor.
I mean, that was cheekily like well written story plot.
I kind of want. You see, the thing was when he said,
Heimdall in like 10 years before was much cooler, dude.
So here's what I'll tell you though. Here's what I'll tell you. When he said that I lost a bet to Thor, and then Heimdall and Thor was
like
involved.
Okay with it.
Yeah, he was okay with it. I was like, dude, I want to know what this bet is, man.
I mean, I wonder what was the thought process. Like, Heimdall was a stickler for rules when everything was okay.
Yeah.
He gave no leeway to anything unless you're actually using the Rainbow Bridge for official means. But did Heimdall also lose a bet?
I know, right? Like, did they have a bet, him and Thor, and then Heimdall's just like, I want in on it?
there had to been a 3-way bet when he was like, they got him wasted.
There's something that
he lost still. Loki lost, and then he had to do it.
I want to know what that bet is.
I
I
don't
just
care
want.
about the bet. I want to know how the bet started.
I know, right? So I want to know what's going on.
So good
Another
writing.
thing is that essentially what people are not realizing is that um Enchantress is basically has been planning everything since episode 1. Since
Yes.
episode 1. Yeah, I mean, like
Well,
you can tell.
before that, even that.
Yeah, she's already been planting it. So the reason why I believe that the end of season episode 2 ended the way it did is because I believe that that was a whole trap that she had planned out all along, right?
I think she wanted to capture Loki.
She wanted everybody on that particular future. You know what evidence I have in that is that on the very beginning of Loki, they went to 1886 France, I think, or England, somewhere around there. And there was that little kid who had blue teeth, and
Yeah,
then
because of the bubble gum.
because of the bubble gum. But I think that kid is actually Enchantress, giving them the bubble gum. Do you know what I mean?
I did find it odd that the
There was
kid
a
was totally cool
yeah,
with a stranger coming up to them.
yeah,
While
and there
there
was
might have been a revolution since it's,
yeah,
France.
yeah, and then there was like it was just like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, you have your
Yeah,
teeth, and
you
then
should go back out there where the people are murdering each other.
yeah, it just showed you, and then just gave you a bubble gum, and that happens to be in the year 2050. I don't know. It just seems very, very odd and very particularly placed.
Well, no, like after the second episode, you knew for a fact that the bubble gum was only produced in that area, that factory, and then they stopped
Yeah,
producing it after
yeah,
that hurricane,
yeah,
which is the only point, like the only aspect, like she gave away her trade secret
yeah,
by giving them the Club Bluey. So
yeah,
why
yeah,
wouldn't she set a trap?
yeah. Exactly. So I
Because
think
she's not a Loki. She's
yeah,
just gonna like she's just going
yeah,
by like I dressed
yeah,
up as Loki to make them
yeah,
think I'm a Loki.
yeah,
And how do I
yeah,
get a Loki
yeah,
to get to
yeah,
me? I make them
yeah.
feel like I'm outsmarting them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump onto episode 2 as well. The other hint that I just remembered that I should have caught on to was when when Loki was getting his ass whooped, and he goes, I would never treat myself like this.
Yeah.
That was a big hint already. Like, I would never treat myself like this. I was like, yeah, I guess so, right? That should have been like another hint to me, but it didn't. I don't know why. So another thing is that MCU.
Also, she did say, "Don't you dare call me Loki."
Yeah, don't you dare call me Loki, right? So there's another one too as well. It's like, oh, don't call me that. I was like, oh, there's like 3. You just made me realize there was 3. Ah, damn it! I have failed as a comic book.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it was
uh,
like it was there.
it was all there. Plus, I really love Enchantress.
Yeah, it was. It was
I feel like in every
there,
relationship,
man.
like the problem is her ability versus her
Yeah,
realization that that's not really a relationship. She just wants to
yeah,
control relationships.
yeah,
And I don't. I feel a lot of times I feel bad for her just because like she'll never know what it is like to be in a like
yeah,
a non bubbled in her world.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's hard to explain.
yeah. Another thing too as well is that after a few watches of episode 1 and 2,
I only watched it once.
so you'll see that in the dialogue, there's always hints that's being given there in the dialogue, right? Um, at the very beginning of episode 2, when Tara Strong, so by the way, Tara Strong stock went up too as well, man. Tara Strong, the Miss Clock or the Miss Time, what do you want to call him? Essentially was explaining what would happen, training Loki, and is trying to ask him what would happen if that if that time skewed actually touched the red line, what would happen, right? So it's like going to be like an infinite war and all that stuff. Now, I was um I was on the Heroic Hollywood's Instagram. Now, Heroic Hollywood is shitty. They used to be good, man. I mean, like they used to be good. Now they're just kind of shitty. But they're making assumptions that everything is going to lead up to the multi sorry
Infinite
the
Crisis? No,
Secret
no.
Wars. No,
Secret War.
they're gonna lead to Secret Wars, right?
That's a true fallacy. The only reason with Secret Wars, like, or at least one of the version is
Yeah,
because all the planets are recolliding with each other,
yeah,
and that, like, they had to destroy the other planet to survive.
yeah. So here's what I will tell you. Okay, now obviously, because of the pandemic, a lot of things happen. Okay, a lot of things happen. I'm gonna share you a screen. Now people are saying like, oh, this is gonna lead to a secret war. I understand that there's a good chance that this will lead into a secret war, but the thing is that a lot of MCU fans don't know what that means. That it's gonna lead into secret wars, right? All they know is that it's gonna lead to secret wars, and then the timeline is gonna be skewed and all that stuff. This is what's gonna happen. Okay, there is a good chance that it will lead to secret wars. But why is it going to lead to a secret war? Like, do you know why it's going to lead into secret war, Lewis? If I were to ask you, why do you think it's going to lead into secret wars?
Not at all.
Well, let me put it this way: what is the storyline for Secret Wars?
I honestly don't remember.
So the storyline for Secret Wars is basically there is someone who is actually great. You know, there's someone who has a great power that they want to basically make the timeline stream not infinite but canon, right?
Singular.
It's Marvel's version. Secret Wars is Marvel's version of Infinite Crisis. Okay, Infinite Crisis is basically DC's way of making things make sense again in their timeline. Okay, they do it often, almost every 3, 4, 5 years, right? Secret War took place in 1984, 1986, right? That's when you got your new Spider-Man suits and all these other. It's a 12 issue book, right? The reason for
Yeah, you know for a fact it's not a 12-issue book. It's like
it's like one
47 something.
no, it was like one issue and that's about it.
No, there's like it's 1, 2,
Yeah.
every other title, like maybe
So
1 or 2 books.
So Secret War is basically Marvel's version to actually just to make all their titles and all their storylines canon, right?
Which
Um
honestly, they should really just stop that.
yeah. But
It
secret but
it's
in
so
order
hard to keep track
yeah,
of somebody's
yeah,
previous work.
yeah. But in order to do Secret Wars, MCU fans, you need to understand this. This is not going to lead into a war of all timelines. The war of all timelines is essentially just it's just a word that they use because they can't use the word battle world, because if they tell you battle world, you're gonna be like, what the fuck does that mean? So
Battleworld was
right?
so good.
So they're trying to tell you they're leading into battle world, not Secret War. Secret Wars is the storyline that leads into the battle world. Now, what happens in battle world, Lewis? Please explain to me what happens in battle world.
Oh, dude, no. It will never lead exactly the same way that it did originally,
No,
because that
but
would mean
just
they
tell
would
me
need.
the basic of the battle world. What is the reason for battle world?
So the reason for Battleworld, like, all the worlds were just gonna be destroyed anyways
Yeah.
by sentient, like high end, beyond like the universe,
Yeah.
sentience, and all
Mhm.
that, like the makers,
Yeah. It's the living tribunal.
the
You keep
living
saying it.
tribunal.
Yeah, living tribunal.
Somehow, Doom, Doctor Doom,
Yeah.
defeated them.
Yeah.
Off panels.
No,
Never,
but just tell me the basic of battle world. Why battle world?
because it was the only way to keep it all structured together by tiny pieces of
Yep.
what was left.
There you go. So essentially, this will lead to Secret Wars. The Secret Wars is actually battle worlds, right? Battle world is the only way
We will get Marvel Zombies.
you'll get. I know that would be amazing, right? It's the only way that they can give you an Avengers Endgame type of ending for Phase 4, and then lead into Phase 5, which is the mutants, Fantastic Four, Miles Morales, All
God
those.
Doom,
God Doom,
which is still
Zombie.
Doctor Doom, but in white.
Yeah, Zombie Marvel. So basically, a lot of people are talking like, oh, it's gonna be Galactus, it's gonna be this. I mean, Galactus would be great,
No,
right?
so here's the problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
Galactus in this scenario is
Mm.
dead.
Yeah,
There is no universe,
yeah,
hence there is no need
yeah,
for Galactus. Galactus is a entity of balance in the universe
yeah,
because his goal, while he eats and eats and eats sentient planets,
yeah,
some sentient planets have
yeah,
literally celestial seeds which become celestials.
yeah,
There's only a finite space where celestials can live,
yeah.
and Galactus eats those planets, so the celestial
Mm-hmm.
never bursts out of that
Yeah,
planet,
yeah,
keeping the population of celestials in control,
yeah,
which he was placed there by
yeah,
celestials. That's why every time you kill him,
yeah,
after a set amount of time, he comes
yeah,
back because he is
yeah,
the balance
yeah.
of the
So,
universe.
so essentially, if you are someone who does speculations on comic books, you should be ahead of everybody right now and trying to sell your Battle World shit right now, right? Because this whole thing, Phase 4, will lead into their Avengers Endgame type with Battle Worlds. Just imagine every single world out there that's based on Marvel, like Lewis said, Marvel Zombies. Dude, Marvel Zombies will be
Dude,
eliminated,
just
right?
give me Marvel Zombies. Like,
Everything will be eliminated. That's why they have the multiverse of madness, right? So a lot of people think that the Loki and WandaVision is going to lead into multiverse of madness. Now, I'm going to show you what the timeline looks like pre-pandemic. Okay? Pre-pandemic, this is what the timeline looks like. That is actually the timeline of Phase 4. Okay. The timeline for Phase 4 is that Black Widow was supposed to come out first, and then Falcon, and then Eternals, and then Shang-Chi, then WandaVision, then Multiverse of Madness, then Loki. Okay. Now, because of the pandemic, all this have to be restructured, and they made all the Disney Plus entry as the entry point to each introduction, which is this is what it looks like now. WandaVision, Falcon, and then Loki, then Black Widow.
wow,
That's
Hawkeye got done dirty.
yeah, they made it an entry point, and then they made Multiverse of Madness as the halfway point to the Phase 4. Do you see that? They made it a halfway point. Let me see if there's a clearer version in here.
It's probably the best we got.
Yeah, that's the best that we got. So basically, they made Multiverse of Madness as a halfway point, right? Instead of actually starting from starting this way, instead of this way right here.
You stop sharing.
Oh, I stopped sharing. Okay. So essentially, it's just that everything got restructured, right? I'm pretty sure dialogues got restructured too as well. That made it like Loki is going to be leading into Multiverse of Madness, right? So what you guys need to realize is that everything that you're seeing right now will lead into something bigger, and then for me, it's Battle World. I don't know. Do I have that argument like pretty much? I have pretty much good point in the argument. No, I don't know.
It's terrible. It's not gonna be. It's gonna be Secret War.
Yeah, Secret War, which is Battle World, right? That's what it's gonna lead into. Now, here's what I would ask you, Lewis. What do you expect for episode 3? What do you think is gonna happen to episode 3?
3?
Episode 3.
I think Loki will go to some point during World War II in Russia so that he may become the great and fearless leader. If I'm right, I hate myself.
I know that would be amazing, right?
So that he may kill Captain America.
He's like, I knew he was Rasputin. I knew it, man.
Oh, no. I said World War II. This is pre-World War II. But Rasputin Ooh, man, then that means he is the Empress' secret lover.
I know if he was
Rah,
Rasputin,
rah, Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen.
can you imagine if he was Rasputin? That'd be amazing.
That would be super fun, but I don't. He only gets one jump.
Yeah.
He never took the device, which I
So
would have just taken it away from.
Yeah.
What was her name?
Who?
The one that just jawed him in the face.
B-15.
B-15. Yeah, I would have just taken her little device so that I may just travel.
So here's what I will tell you too as well. Now that we have our predictions in there and whatnot, now we try to explain some things. Now I want to explain some faults at this show. Okay, this show has faults, and now people are seeing them because they're really drawn into the whole Loki thing. It's like, oh, it's so good, and
I mean, all I'm gonna see is just good content.
Yeah. So let me put it this way: there's a meme going around already that that Loki, when Loki saw the Infinity Stones, right? And he was asking that dude, he's like, how do you get your hold with Infinity Stones? Like, oh yeah, we just use it for paperweight, right? You remember that, right?
No. He just says what was it? Yeah, so this thing? Yeah, this is it. Oh, no, that's nice.
No, he goes, okay, so he was looking for the Tesseract. And then he goes, okay, I'll give it to you. And then one of the workers there, I forgot his name. He's
I don't think they ever said his name.
Yeah, he said his name. I just forgot what it was. And then he goes, and then Loki looks inside the drawer and he goes, Infinity Stones, how do you have all these?
Oh, some of the guys use them as paperweights.
Some guys use them as paperweights. Now, here's the fault in this scenario. How does he know those are Infinity Stones?
He doesn't. He never said he was.
No,
he just calls them rocks.
No, he literally said Infinity Stones. 100%.
You do know when they turn these things in, they have to tell him, take this Infinity Stone. It could have been prior. You're making assumptions of what you see now.
I'm not making any assumptions whatsoever. This is the Loki that was taken from Avengers, right?
Also, you're talking about the same man who he threatened to gut him like a fish, and then he asked him, what's a fish?
Yeah. No. I'm not talking about that guy. I'm talking about Loki knowing that those are Infinity Stones. Yeah.
You Loki, do know that when he was messing with that Tesseract cube, he was gaining knowledge.
No, the Tesseract, okay, the Tesseract doesn't give him knowledge. It gives him power, yes, right? But it doesn't show him what Infinity Stones are. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you? Like, at this point in time, at this Loki right now, we don't know, he does not know anything about Infinity Stones. He knows a Tesseract. He knows that. He knows all those. These are not turned into stones yet, nor was there any knowledge that they were stones. The only reason why we know that they became stones in the MCU world was because of Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, when the Collector says there were stones. You see what I'm trying to tell you?
But why do you assume that the Asgardians wouldn't know about it?
The Asgardians?
No, the Asgardians.
Asgard's people, yeah.
Asgard people. So yeah, are you saying that Asgard is already plural?
Yeah. But Asgards don't know anything about it.
The Asgards.
All they know is a Tesseract. That's all they know.
They know the black matter, which it's just them
black matter
a different name. Just because they named it differently doesn't mean they don't know it exists.
But they don't know anything about the stones. They don't know anything about the stone. I'm just saying.
You're doing the thing where you're looking too deeply.
I'm not looking. No, I'm not looking too deeply. This is not even deep. I said this is Loki from Avengers. He knows about the stones. How? That's all I'm saying. How does he know about the stones?
It could be just as easily that he knows it in a different way versus just stones.
I'm just saying there's faults in the writing that people are not acknowledging. Right?
I don't 100% agree, but I can see your point.
Yeah, there's faults in the writing that people don't bat an eye because it doesn't matter because it's Marvel. Now, is this me?
I don't think it's because it's Marvel. It's just, I think it's just one of those details that don't matter.
So here's another thing. Here's another detail, right? Here's another detail. People are connecting to the fact that, about the Axe body spray that Tony Stark has. He goes, "You're guilty of messing with the timeline, blah 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 blah." And he goes, are you guilty? He's like, no. If anyone's guilty, it's the Avengers. They travel back in time to actually do this and do that. So they should be the one that should be in trial. Now, again, this is Loki from Avengers. How does he know about the Avengers going back in time to actually mess with the timeline to actually fit what happened in Avengers Endgame? Again, these are just little things.
I mean, they also pronounced the blah blah blah. He can smell two Tony Starks.
Yeah, he said he can smell two Tony Starks. Yes, but how do you smell two Tony Starks and all of a sudden they're going back in time to do this and do that, do this?
They figured out a way to do it. That's really all there is to it.
All I'm saying is this. There are faults in the writing that no one's batting an eye. How does Loki know what the Avengers' full plan is based on two types of Axe body spray?
Doesn't matter.
Exactly. It doesn't matter.
Sometimes you have to move forward.
That's what I'm saying. Again, it doesn't matter because it's Marvel. That's the thing.
It's not because it's Marvel. Sometimes storyboards have obvious plot holes, and then you still got to go forward.
Come on, man.
You want everything to be just literally explained to you.
Let me put it this way. You're telling me it doesn't matter when it comes to that. But then when Zod and Superman had a fight in Metropolis, you worry about the damages, the insurance, the people that got killed.
Yes, 100%. They should be reimbursed.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
I mean, I'm just talking about like insurance legality. I feel bad for them. I didn't say that like it should be explained.
No, I'm talking about plot holes.
There is no plot holes. I just think that those people should be recompensated for alien attacks.
That's bullshit. Okay, that's bullshit.
You're arguing about two different things.
Loki predicting the future based on two Axe body spray. Oh well, it's okay. Let's move on. Wait a minute. People are dying. Look at all that damages. Are you kidding me? I can even go forward and say, okay, nobody cares about the damages that the Avengers did in the first one, but yet you care about the damages that Superman and Zod did? Yeah. And they had to literally explain
Smallville. That. It's a small town. They're probably not covered. The other one is New York goddamn city.
Bullshit. That's complete contradiction, but it doesn't matter. I just want to make the point that people don't care because it's Marvel. That's also, all I'm saying.
I personally don't like New York.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares because it's Marvel. That's all I'm saying. There's writings in this show.
So I'm not allowed to care about the reimbursement of destroyed buildings in a small town, which they essentially only destroyed 3 buildings.
No, you're not allowed to criticize or care about anything in Batman versus Superman. If you don't care,
I criticize a lot, and then you were still berating me early on in Marvel stuff too. Listen, you're guilty of this, right?
What I'm saying is that you don't get an opinion and you don't get to criticize Batman versus Superman and anything from Zack Snyder's universe if you can't do the same thing from everything from the MCU. You can't do that.
I mean, that's bullshit all the time.
No, that's bullshit. Now, I understand. You have every right to do that. Whatever. I don't care. You can do whatever you want. I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, just make sure that you know that you are contradicting yourself when it comes to one property to another. That's all I'm saying. As long as you realize that.
So what you're saying is you're mad at the fact that I criticize Man of Steel not because of plot holes, not because of like choreography, but because I'm mad that those poor people will never get insurance policies claims going through.
What I'm saying is that
you're comparing that to I don't care about plot holes in Marvel.
No, what I'm saying, no. You're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying
yes, I am, but your argument is
what I'm saying. Okay, so let's just say we go by what you're saying. Yes, you should not care about whatever happened to Smallville and whatever happened to Metropolis, if you don't care about the writing and what happened in Loki and all other Marvel properties. Yes, that's
I would have
exactly
felt
what I'm
bad for you
saying.
in New York if they got nuked, though.
How did no one criticize what happened to New York City, but yet you criticize what happened to Metropolis?
New York has a bunch of like great insurance policies. The buildings would have been destroyed. They would have been
That's all,
fine.
that's all
Everybody's insured there.
Yeah, no one's insured in Metropolis. See, how do you function that way? How do you function thinking that way?
I mean,
that's fucking messed up.
They got natural occurrences all the time, and I think the Smallville will only get like Twister, like hurricane insurance.
No, we're talking about Metropolis and New York and what happened in the Avengers.
Metropolis?
Yeah.
God, it was like they literally had a nuke go off in their city. Now, if the nuke hit New York City, I would have been like, damn.
Like,
that sucks.
That's it.
Also, by the way, you got to take into effect that because of all the alien technology, New York profited really heavily in scrapping all those sentient life forms. You know that, right?
All that does not apply to Man of Steel. When the alien sentient property literally became ground zero for research.
It was taken over by the government, and it's like they weren't had outside contractors like Marvel did.
What does that have to do with anything?
Look at Spider-Man. They literally had subcontracting to pick up all that alien technology. A lot of them were canceled, but then they scrapped it themselves.
How does that make any sense? Now you're just nitpicking just to
I'm not nitpicking. You're breaking out the conversation. You want argument for some weird reason.
No, my argument is this. If you're going to criticize one, criticize the other two as well.
Why do you want me to criticize about DC? I'll happily do it.
No. What I'm just saying.
And Marvel, pick whatever. I'll criticize it.
What I'm saying,
Thor Ragnarok was shit.
My argument is there is plot holes in this show, and you're not seeing it because it's Marvel. It literally is.
And I just at least finish the series before I start nitpicking it?
No, you actually nitpick from 1 to 2 right now. That's what we're doing. And then next week, you can nitpick all you want to number 3. I'm saying right now, as of right now, from episode 1 and 2, there are plot holes and there are holes in every single dialogue that this show has. Well, I should say every single.
It's time travel. All it is plot holes.
And some of the dialogues in this is basically a lot of plot holes in there that people are not minding because it's Marvel. That's all it is. It's because it's Marvel. You just have to come to terms with that. Just because that's not what you see and you don't think it's that way, it is. It literally is. But, whatever. It's Marvel. It's MCU. It's fun, I guess. It's fine. Loki knows all about all these things. Great.
I'm just saying.
That's all I'm saying. So here's what I will predict in episode 3. Okay, episode 3. Okay. There's gonna be a long explanation on who this villain, who Enchantress is.
Okay.
And why it's not about Loki, because that's what you said, right? It's not about you.
Okay.
So I think that there's going to be a little bit more long explanation of why she does what she does and what's going on. And I think that's going to be it's going to be a little bit more bigger than we think. And by the way, did you, just off topic, do you think that the third timekeeper was Kang?
No clue.
No, the third person in the middle. In the timekeepers, do you think that was Kang the Conqueror?
Might not be.
It's not Kang.
Oh, I don't know.
Why are people saying that's Kang?
I don't know. Read this, people. Hey man, you want to start an argument with me? I'll just shut down.
You are the worst at this. Did you just watch this show like once and that's it?
Yep.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You gotta watch it at least twice.
I mean, you watched it multiple times and you still couldn't figure out it was Enchantress until the end.
No, I didn't figure out it was Enchantress at the end. And the first time around, the second time around, I'm just fine.
Okay, I believe you.
That's all I'm saying. But
You're
anyways,
right.
any other prediction that you may have for the third one, Lewis, for the third episode?
Loki kills Captain America.
Which one?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter which
Steve
Captain
Rogers. Except he's dark haired, not blonde.
It's just a dark haired Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Isn't the dark
This is
hair
the
Steve,
timeline where he decided dyeing his hair was cool,
like in the 90s?
like in the 90s. And then he stabs him in the back 50 times.
Starts listening to like Nirvana and stuff.
I mean, this is a different time age now. Nirvana was established earlier than it was originally.
All right, so we'll definitely see you guys next week on episode 3 of Loki. Lewis, you're gonna watch it multiple times or no? Just once.
I was happy the one time.
Just one time. You just the third episode. You're just gonna watch it one time again.
Yeah.
Okay. Lewis is gonna watch it one time. He has no expectation. You said you have no expectation for episode 3.
I don't watch content the way you watch it.
Really?
Nope.
You don't watch it multiple times?
You should have gotten.
There's never a show that you watch more than once.
By choice?
By choice.
No.
Really?
No.
You're one weird dude.
I mean, I remember all the content.
I'm like,
I remember better than you, and I only watched it once.
Yeah, that could be argued. That could be argued. But again, we'll see you guys next week. Next week is going to be the regular 30 minutes analysis on it. Over probably an hour. We'll see how that goes. Episode 3 of Loki. Now we're going to be recording for our podcast, for Spotify podcast, which we're going to talk about how DC didn't want Batman going down on Catwoman, which is kind of weird. About like censorships and all that stuff. And like,
Batman goes down and he goes for a complete buffet. He don't gotta breathe.
All right. Well, we are going to see you guys next week. Tune into our Spotify. If you guys are watching this on Monday, it's on right now on Spotify. Go right ahead. Until then, next, do you have any last words, Lewis?
No, not at all.
Okay. We'll see you guys next week then. Peace out.
Peace out.